Okay, so when we get to the part where I'm working on you by hand, I want to walk you through that and explain what's going on so that you kind of know what to expect. So I've explained vibration and frequency and how your nervous system understands its environment in terms of vibration. So most of the therapies and techniques that I use are based on vibration. So this is called an adjuster. And what it does is it taps using a resonant frequency that's equal to connective tissue. And it hits harder the harder I push on it. So what that does, it allows me to feel the spine respond through it. I can feel it loosen up, and it allows me to work on it while it's in motion. So I'll be able to move your head and catch the neck right where it catches and tap right through it. So I've got different things that I can attach to it. I can be very specific, and I can be very aggressive and very light. There's also spring-loaded instruments that are very specific that I can just kind of aim and get a one shot, very light. Okay, so then there's this. This is called a percussor. And again, it puts in a vibrational wave, a frequency that's equal, that frequency is equal to the connective tissue. So if you take a pan of water and you slush it back and forth, you can create all these waves, but if you get it on the harmony, on that harmonic or the vibrational wave of water, it just sloshes very smoothly, and it's very easy to move the weight of that water back and forth. So that's kind of how this works. Only I'm trying to move the fascia. And so if that fascia begins to stick to the layers around it, it prevents motion. Well, your nerves and your arteries and veins and your lymphatic vessels travel in between your organs and your muscles in between this fascia. Well, if it sticks together, then it kind of can pinch that stuff outside of the spine. And so that's what this is for. And fascia responds to a very slow, constant pressure rather than something sudden like this. So this will move the joints, and this will move the fascia and the ligaments. I always work on the bowels because your large bowel has about 70% of your lymphatic system, your lymph nodes. Okay, that's the plumbing for your immune system. It also is the place where most of your hormones are processed and produced. It's also where all your food and nutrition comes from, and it's where all the poisons and infections and nasty things in your body are housed as well. So you want to make sure that's fluid and moving as well. I can pull the kidneys up, I can pull the uterus and bladder up. If you have an inflammatory diet and you have a lot of ligament laxity in your body, your organs can kind of sink down and compress the blood supply to them. So the percussor is one way to gently pull that up. And then also the liver. Okay, your liver has 400 functions. And it's very important. If you don't detoxify the liver, you can't lose weight. Your other organs aren't going to function 100% because the liver isn't producing the chemistry that they need. So when you breathe, your liver has this pattern where it rolls out of the way as your diaphragm comes down. And if it's stuck to your rib cage or some of the other organs, or if there's just pressure on it and it can't move, well, then the cells don't flex as you breathe. And that circulates the chemistry inside the cell. So if your liver is not moving, it's not able to do its job very well. So I can also so then I come up and I work on the head. Now your skull or your cranial bones lace together and they expand and contract, very subtle, it's extremely subtle, but your skull acts as a pump to pump cerebral spinal fluid up and down the spine. And if that mechanism isn't working, then brain chemistries get off, pressures can build up in the head, you can have headaches, brain fog, sinus problems, ringing in the ears, all kinds of things. And so I use the percussor to put this vibration in. I can kind of shoot it all the way down the spine, and as I pull on the head, it'll release some adhesions in the tissue that surrounds the spine all the way down. I can work on the sinuses, the TMJ, cranial bones, all of that from up here. And then I get into the laser techniques. Now, I've already explained how the violet laser, I can muscle test and use the violet laser to find where there's stress in the body. So we come around here and we do muscle testing, and I can scan through the organs real quick, and if something is weak, so just like in your house, if there's too much current going through some of your electric lines, the fuse box will blow the breaker. Same thing can happen in the body. If there's too much stress in an organ system, then your nervous system will short it out. And it's not so much your nervous system, it's more like the energy system in the body. It'll short that out to protect it. See, if a breaker blows, maybe it's because you turned the blender on while the microwave was going or anything else. Well, all the lights and everything on that circuit shut off. Same thing can happen in the body. Anything associated with that stress will energetically shut off and not function as well. So I want to find those other organs and then a place in the brain, and then you connect the two. And what that does is it kind of turns the breaker back on. And I want to do that after I've removed some of the structural stress or emotional stress or chemical stress. So we want to support these organs with the nutrition. We get that from the exam. This is just kind of where I'm working on things by hand. So after we finish the treatment, then we walk over to the vibe plate. Okay, so after we do the work on the table, you come over to the vibration plate. Now what this does, it vibrates like crazy. It'll make your muscles contract and relax about 60 times a second. What the purpose of that is your nervous system is trying to coordinate all this movement. So what I have you do is step one leg forward and one leg back, all right? And you go through the motion of walking one way and then you walk the other way. So what that does is your nervous system it reestablishes the nerve connection between the brain and the muscles in your joints. Because not only is it trying to figure out how to walk, but it's trying to figure out how to walk while the muscles are going like this too. Now to speed up the process, I take one of the lasers, I put it here, and I run it on your spine. So the laser will make all the nerves in your spine fire at just the right rate they're supposed to. It just kind of wakes them all up. So after we've taken any kind of physical pressure off the nerves, we strongly stimulate them with the vibration and the laser, and so it all wakes up and kind of all turns on and comes online. Now, with stimulating everything on the spine, whatever's in your system, in your energetic environment, you can kind of reset it. Your brain gets so stimulated that it kind of feels like everything's okay now. So I take, these are samples, vibrational samples of certain allergens, foods, coffee, sugar, gluten, MSG, walnuts, peanuts, just common allergies. So you hold this. So if you hold that in your hand, your nervous system thinks it's inside your body. So with all this stimulation, it kind of resets it and it says, okay, well, this stuff is okay now. And that kind of tones down some autoimmune responses, allergies, sensitivities, food cravings. After that, we come over here. Now, this is a very large, very powerful laser. If you'll notice, there's 5 different lasers, and each one of these is about 3 times stronger than the handheld laser that I was using over there. And I can program each one of these for something different. If you notice, the lights are blinking at different rates. So typically what I have programmed in there are the frequencies that will stimulate your lymphatic system. Again, that's the plumbing for your immune system. Your adrenals, lungs, organ regeneration, liver. I put in a detox frequency. So there's a lot of things that are happening there. Now this is called pulsed electromagnetic therapy. And it just does that. It's an electromagnetic pulse, but it's 16,000 Gauss. To give you an idea of how powerful that is, a refrigerator magnet is about 4 Gauss. You don't have your car keys or credit card in your pocket? No? Okay. Okay. This is strong enough that if your car key is underneath it, it'll erase the security chip and your car won't start. Typically, I put this over the bowels because the bowels are so important. I may put it over the liver to help detoxify the liver. If there's a knee problem or something, we can put it over that area or shoulder, wherever I want to focus the attention. And then we turn on a Chi machine. So there's a lot happening here. 3 totally different devices. Again, this is low-level light therapy, cold laser, but a very powerful one. It's known as the lipo laser. I'm not doing the lipo frequencies in it. This one's programmable. I can put in my own frequencies and work on whatever I want. The pulse electromagnetic and this, they both stimulate a part of the cell that takes oxygen and generates energy molecules. So your cells fill up with energy molecules. It's like money for the cells, and the cells start performing all its functions. They start detoxing. If the cell is processing things too slow, it speeds it up. If it's processing things too fast, it slows it down. The laser frequencies kind of guides the effect of both of these, and the pulse electromagnetic is very strong for natural wellness, longevity. There's been evidence that both of these can repair the DNA, and the red laser kind of has an effect on the DNA, makes it read the DNA more normally. So the Chi machine, what that does is, a guy spent 30 years studying fish. He wanted to know how fish processed oxygen so efficiently. And he found out, he'd see them, they'd have this harmonic vibrational wave when they weren't moving anywhere. And he realized that that harmonic is what made their cells utilize oxygen so efficiently. So I've got the Chi machine going so that your cells uptake oxygen really well. The pulse electromagnetic is really powerfully moving the cell. So as it pops, the cell will actually move. And again, when the cell moves, it circulates the chemistry in it. It's kind of like shaking up one of those snowballs that you have at Christmas, and everything inside the cell starts circulating around. So it'll dump toxins, it'll draw in nutrition. It breaks up any of the waste products that are just outside the cell, and it allows your lymphatic system to start flushing it off. And then again, the cold laser, there's frequency specific to certain cell types, certain organs to get them processing really fast as well. So very powerful synergistic effect of all of these. You can look online and find some of the research on pulsed electromagnetic therapy, PEMF. Arconia has lots of research on their lasers. They've done more research than anybody. And you can look up the effects of the Chi machine. That's the Sun Encone is the company. That's the guy that invented that. So this is about a 15-minute treatment. So the total time here, it takes about 15 minutes for me to work on you by hand and do the vibe plate and the laser and all that stuff, and then another 15 minutes on this. And again, the effects is very powerful. And then when you start adding in the nutrition, we start cleaning up your internal environment, we clean out the sink, get all the junk out, your body becomes very efficient. Or an athlete, or if you exercise, you will notice a dramatic, noticeable improvement in your performance after you do this. Sometimes after the first time or two, you can be a little tired. About a third of the people are like that. It's just because it causes your body to release so many toxins and so many internal changes start to happen. Usually after a second or third time, you'll notice that boost in energy. It increases your mood. That's really a very brief overview of all the stuff that happens when I'm working on you by hand when you come into the office. Really the best thing for you to do is to experience it, because I can explain it all day long. You may not remember much of it or understand much of it. I spent many, many years gathering the information and the techniques and skills and the equipment for all this. But if you experience it, well, that's really all you're going to need to know. All right, so I look forward to seeing you in the office. Thank you.